All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, continuing our Halloween Havoc retro series. Today we'll be going over Halloween Havoc 1994. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get through this without falling asleep or laughing our butts off. I mean, once again, just like 1993, it had the talent. The matches on paper looked great, but it was the booking and the end results that were just, to me, pure crap. I mean, October 23rd, 1994, Detroit, Michigan. The slogan for this one was "Witness the terrifying rage in the cage." And I'll get to that in a minute because they screwed up bringing that cage down in the main event. Almost decapitated one of them. 14,000 people on hand for this. I think half of them walked out before the main event even came on because the crowd didn't look too big. They actually had the gall also. If you remember, they mentioned Andre the Giant in this. Hogan said, "Oh, down the ways I wrestled him, brother, but that was in the past.
Yeah.
Don't bring up Andre in WCW, bro. You just don't do that." In any event, let's kick it off. Our opening match was for the WCW Television Championship. Johnny B. Bad defending the title against the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, it was Elvis Presley versus Little
What?
Richard.
Yes, yeah, I couldn't think of it. This one belonged in Vegas, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously, all you needed was Wayne Newton being the special guest referee for this.
I like Johnny B. Bad, though. I thought he was a good wrestler.
He was a good entertainer, good
Yeah.
wrestler. WCW didn't give him the credit he deserved, and when he went to WWE, they went more realistic with his name. Again, they didn't do anything with him either.
The Wild Man.
Yeah, at first they pushed him.
He was
but
like gonna come out of the jungle. Like that was crap too.
I liked it at first when he first came out, and he had the charisma, and he was doing stuff that was just starting to come about in WWE. It wasn't bad, but when he got his injury, he kind of fell in the cracks like most people.
Yeah.
So this match was fairly decent. I mean, you have a guy that's on his way out wrestling wise and Honky Tonk.
Yeah, Honky Tonk Man was already at the end of his
Yeah,
at the end of his run. I don't think he even cared anymore. I think at the point.
No, because I think, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. I think the next pay-per-view, he actually no-showed it to where they had to get another opponent.
Something happens with him.
He left for right after this.
Yeah,
so he wasn't there long. This was a 10-minute time limit match, which you're not going to win any match in 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
They love doing those time limit draws, don't they?
Especially with the TV title.
Yeah, for some reason, yeah.
This is the second Halloween Havoc in a row that the match ended in a draw.
Yeah.
And it didn't start picking up until the end. It started real slow. A lot of miscues in this. The action came later on, but it was too late. Johnny B. Bad keeps the title. Obviously, another time limit draw. Our next match was for the WCW Tag Team Championships. It was Stars and Stripes. Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Another year, another tag team, another championship. And the Patriot, Del Wilkes, versus Pretty Wonderful, Paul Roma and Mr. Wonderful Porn Orndorff. Now, I kind of like these guys together. Again, Orndorff is another guy that's past his prime.
Yeah, he was past.
Unfortunately, even though he still looked good. Roma was all right at this point.
I thought Roma was all right. Yeah.
I mean, the name for the team wasn't bad. Pretty Wonderful.
Pretty Wonderful, yeah.
I mean, it was all right.
Stars and Stripes. This is before American Males, right? Because then Scotty Riggs joins up.
Yeah, Bagwell was like the rotating tag team
guy, yeah.
After the American Males, then you had Vicious and Delicious. You have Totally Buffed. Mm-hmm. I mean, my God. I mean, it was crazy. This match was pretty good. It had some high flying stuff with the Patriot and Bagwell.
Patriot was a good wrestler.
Yes. Unfortunately, he didn't get too much time in WWE when he was there, nor did he get it here either. Pretty Wonderful in 13 minutes, 47 seconds, steal their way to the tag team title. Mm-hmm. So for the second year in a row, Marcus Bagwell has lost the tag team championship at a Halloween Havoc. Thank God the streak ends here for him. So, I mean, they had enough faith in Orndorff and Roma to put the tag titles on them. They also had a weak tag team division, and I was really surprised that even like Harlem Heat wasn't on this card. I mean, they were on the pre-show match or the Saturday night, whatever they had prior to it. So I didn't understand why they weren't on the card, at least not for a tag team title shot anyway. So, but Orndorff and Roma become the tag team champions. It was an average match. Our next match was one of the Stinkfest matches. One of them, because there's another one to follow right after it. Well, two after anyway. This was Dave Sullivan, or the Equalizer from a year ago, versus his brother Kevin Sullivan, because Dave Sullivan wants to be a Hulkamaniac.
Yeah, they had that whole angle going with him, and he was like, I don't remember if he referred to Hulk Hogan as his big brother or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And he had that ridiculous song, "I Wanna Be a Hulkamaniac." Yeah. Oh my god, it was so bad that I would have rather the Equalizer at this point. And I mean, this brother against brother. Too late. WWE beat you to it, and it was way better in 1994 than this one.
Not even close.
No, 5 minutes 17 seconds. They wind up going to the outside. Dave Sullivan at the 9 count happens to get in the ring. Kevin Sullivan loses by count out. And this gimmick really didn't go anywhere. This was done from the word jump. Like as soon as they started it, this was over.
It's crap.
It didn't really work. This was a bad match. And so it was a waste of time.
They still feud a little bit longer after this. Not too much longer.
Not too much longer, because then the Dungeon of Doom was brought in, and
the Alliance to end Hulkamania.
Oh my god! Anyway. Remember that 2-on-8 match in the cage? How bad was that? Eventually, we'll get to that pay-per-view, but a 2-on-8
Hogan and Macho Man just take it
versus 8 guys, and they win.
Oh, it's the Mega Powers, man.
And it wasn't one of them Zeus.
Yeah, remember Z Gangster.
Yeah, and then you had the Ultimate Solution and all that garbage. Oh my god, it was so bad. Anyway, our next match was pretty good. You could probably see this on AEW now, anyway, if you want to. It was Dustin Rhodes versus Arn Anderson. Double A, bang bang, Arn Anderson, according to last week's AEW with Cody. If anybody watches AEW, you know what I'm talking about. This actually had a pretty decent storyline. Dustin was looking for a tag team partner to go up against Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Arn Anderson, the old Arn Anderson, was his tag team partner. And of course, if you know the old Arn Anderson, you know he's going to turn on you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, he did. So that led to this feud where the two of them fought. And this was a pretty good match. 9 minutes, 50 seconds. Dustin Rhodes beats Arn Anderson. And this is a shame, because by this point now, this kid really deserves the push for at least a world title shot. And he never got it.
Yeah, he had the talent.
Yeah, everything, really. Yeah. I mean, even Arn Anderson, if you notice, he never. I don't know if it's so much that he didn't want it, or they just didn't see it in him. But these are two guys that could have easily been main eventers for WCW, and they just chose not to. So, but this was one of the good matches on the card, the rare good matches on this card.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed seeing Dustin Rhodes win it. Our next match was a total stink fest, because by this point they've just totally given up on the man, and I felt bad for it. It was for the WCW United States Championship. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Steve Austin.
Hey, tough guy. No.
The fact that you put the U.S. title on Duggan concerns me, because I just never saw a championship on him. He's one of the few guys I just couldn't see a title belt on. And now by this point, Austin his career in WCW is totally in the shitter. I mean, because he had the embarrassing loss to Duggan prior to this. I mean, Duggan wins the match by disqualification. He keeps the title. It was an 8 minutes, 2-second match, but it just, I don't know. I didn't like the match. I think there were, again, a few miscues from both of them, and they made Austin just look like he was nothing.
Yeah.
And like I said, by this point, shortly after, he was on, Bischoff pretty much, and the WCW execs kind of gave up on him and eventually terminated him, which is a shame, because he was pretty good. Our next match was, the Guardian Angel versus Vader, or Big Van Vader, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Two big guys could not. 8 minutes 17 seconds, and it didn't look like they could go 3 minutes after the match started.
It's a shame. It's a shame, because these are two great wrestlers.
They are, but their timing was off.
Yeah, they had no chemistry.
The stamina wasn't there, and it looked like they needed a timeout and a drink of water.
And for those don't know, the Guardian was the big boss man. So
How many gimmicks he
Bubba
had with
Rogers,
WCW? Yeah,
the boss.
the Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
And then remember, he did come out originally before WWE got involved as the Boss Man or Big Boss Man. I know they refer to him as one.
Did they? I remember him as the boss. I don't remember when he first came out.
Yeah, they changed it after WWE. It was like, we
cease
own
and
that.
desist. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the many.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been so much better with the two, especially Vader's talent. Vader wins the match against the Guardian Angel. I thought the Guardian Angel gimmick never clicked with me, and they never found a gimmick that worked for him there, unfortunately.
Not really.
I mean, like I said, then was the Fallen Angel, then it was Big Bubba Rogers, and then you think of Big Bubba Rogers and you think of Pastamania, and here we go with 1995. So, yeah, this could have been so much better. Following this match, they actually had Mean Gene had interviewed then Thomas Hitman Hearns. Because if you also remember, I didn't bring it up that Muhammad Ali was sitting ringside for this.
Yeah, there's a lot of celebrities,
which was really good to see him. Even though he was, that was around the time with the illness, the disease he had. It's unfortunate. They had Sting sitting with him, which was I thought was pretty cool. And they interviewed Hitman Hearns, and if you were lucky to understand what he was saying. I don't know. It was what it was. From there, now we go to a match that I don't know, didn't maybe belong on the card. It was the Nasty Boys versus Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck. And again, this is another. On paper, it looks all right, but the match itself was mediocre. 7 minutes 56 seconds. The Nasty Boys get the victory. They're fan favorites, which also doesn't work because they're better heels.
They're better heels, yeah. I always saw them as heels.
Yeah. So I mean, this was. I don't know. There's not really much I could say about that, other than they get the victory. After this, they had what was it? The Muhammad Ali what was the award or presentation?
There was some presentation, briefly. Yeah.
And then to follow that, now this one was a good one. The main event, a steel cage retirement match. Nobody ever retires. Stop having these career-ending matches. They always come back. And the special guest referee, Mr. T.
Mr. T, yeah. And they were playing it up that maybe Mr. T was compromised and he was working for Flair because they showed Flair see him in the street or something like that. He ran into him.
Yeah, they came out of Michael Jordan's restaurant.
Right, Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Now, what was funny was before this match, I don't know if you saw this, but when they're bringing that cage down, they almost dropped the whole thing because it comes down awkward, and then it was falling apart as they're bringing it down. I didn't even think they were going to get this thing down. I mean,
WCW.
Exactly. This was just horrible. So you get Hulk Hogan defending the title against the Nature Boy Ric Flair. The match itself was pretty good.
It actually was. And you know what I like in this match is that Mr. T was reprimanding Hogan when Hogan was doing illegal stuff. He was like, and they get it. He actually think Hogan shoves Mr. T too. And I'm like, disqualify this guy, man.
It's a cage match. There's no disqualifications.
Yeah, I know. But that was cool though, because they actually had Mr. T he wasn't playing favorites or anything like that. And Hogan was doing a lot of heel stuff. I mean, Hogan always did heel stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this match, I felt like this match especially, he was biting, eye raking, he was doing all sorts of stuff.
Typical Hogan.
Yeah.
So where it got a little cheesy is when now they're handcuffing Mr. T to the rope, which is funny because when Hogan's going for the pin, he has to drag him over to T. And
well, the backstory to this, remember, was the guy in the black mask or whatever.
Yeah,
remember that was the whole
not the stalker, but
they didn't know who it was, and he had attacked Hogan, and then they had Hogan on the stretcher and everything. He took out Hogan's knee. This is before the pay-per-view, obviously.
Yeah, it was a Clash of the Champions. Hogan had his knee taken out by a guy I'll reveal in a minute.
And then so they go through that whole thing, and then there was two of them, right? I think there's two, and
but we never knew who the second one was. Right. I always believed it was Arn Anderson, the second one, because Atlanta looked like him. The first one, I was kind of shocked when I first saw this because after this match, Hogan wins.
But But Sherry gets in the middle of this too. Sherry climbs.
Oh, Sherry was getting a beat down from Hogan.
Yeah, from Hogan. And then Sting tries this. I think Sting tries to save Hogan, right? Sting comes out to help Hogan.
Yeah, he gets involved, and this is one of those future Nitro things.
Yeah, endings.
And you get the Sting that's not coming out of the rafters.
So, the big reveal of who was the
Brother Brudai.
Yep.
Brutus Beefcake. Like, and if you notice,
it's not what you think, brother.
If you notice, Heenan gave away the new name. He said, he's the Butcher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now, because back then you wouldn't know it until you watched the following weeks. But now, because eventually the Butcher gets a title shot against Hogan and faces him, which was horrible. But yeah, he says, he's the Butcher. That's the Butcher. And then here comes Kevin Sullivan. Here comes Avalanche or whatever. I think he was called Avalanche when he wasn't Shark.
This is before he went under that whole Dungeon of Doom.
This was the start of it, I believe. Yeah. Oh, you talking about Beefcake?
All of them, because remember he becomes a shark, and this guy becomes whatever he becomes, the Butcher.
Butcher becomes Zodiac.
Yeah, they do some sort of spell or something, right?
Oh my god, that was so bad.
But so Brudai, and what I didn't understand was that this guy, Mr. T, is handcuffed and everything. I'm like, why doesn't he just ring the bell? He just stays there, and he's trying to get free, doesn't ring the bell, and then Hogan eventually pulls him he's like, come on, pin him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
The ending was a little out there. The interference of finding out who the mystery person was in black under the black mask, which isn't the first time they've done something like this. I seem to remember several years prior the Scorpion or whatever against Sting happened to be Flair.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's not the first time they've done something cheesy like this, but setting up the next feud for Hogan with the Dungeon of Doom was pretty cool. The execution to follow wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And this was before Savage had officially come in to WCW. Mm-hmm. So because Savage could save his butt like he always did. But yeah, I thought it was cool that they kind of tried to turn Beefcake against him. Remember the following year, then Jimmy Hart that turns on Hogan, and it's like Hogan's not having any good luck here.
Yeah. Oh.
So I mean, this was what it was. Again, on paper, the card looked decent with the talent, but again, the booking and the end results, not so much.
No.
Unfortunately.
No. So that's our Halloween Havoc 94 review.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, we're gonna be skipping over 95 because 95 was really, really, really bad. Maybe we'll go
I think next year we'll do it.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll do it. Yeah, so we're gonna go
monster truck match.
Yeah, oh Jesus. So we're gonna go right to 1996. So make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.